disarray than usual. He'd bothered to take off his hat and his suit jacket at least, but his maroon tie still hung loose beneath the rumpled collar of his dress shirt. Old habits were hard to break. The sight of him brought a flutter of warmth into my chest. Well, the sight of him and the thought of what he might or might not be wearing under the covers. It was hard not to think of his smile last night when I'd asked him to kiss me, and the intensity of his mouth claiming mine. I wavered, torn between the urge to climb right into that bed with him and the uncertainty about how he'd respond. We hadn't done anything more than kiss yet, and the last time I'd been in his bedroom, he'd ushered me out very quickly. Hatter was obviously a light sleeper. I didn't think I'd made a sound more than taking a breath, and he stirred. Raising his head, he stared at the bed around him, totally bewildered. Then the light of understanding dawned on his face, taking him from scruffily good-looking to pulse-thumpingly hot in an instant. His gaze darted up to find me, and his expression turned wary but not unwelcoming. I guessed I couldn't blame him for being a little uncertain, too. We'd had a chaotic time together. I said. Good morning. It is, isn't it? He said, pushing himself higher on the bed. He considered the covers with an odd chuckle. His shoulders had relaxed when he looked up at me again. We really did it. I had to grin. We did. I suppose this is going to take some getting used to. His tone was warm enough that I decided to just go for it. I walked over and sat on the edge of the bed just a foot away from him. My heart beat faster, but the spark of desire in his green eyes encouraged me. I curled my fingers around his loosened tie. Just as a tip, I said, generally people take these off when they go to bed. Hatter said. It's a good thing I have you here to advise me on these matters. I seem to be out of practice. Happy to help in any way I can. I tugged the tie looser, and Hatter leaned toward me. He smelled amazing, like lime and wood smoke, bright and dark at the same time. Like Wonderland. Amazing that I ever managed without you, Looking-Glass Girl, he murmured, his dry tenor dropping low enough to send an eager shiver down my spine. It really is, I said, a little breathless, and then our lips collided. Hatter tucked his arm around my waist to pull me even closer. His mouth was so hot and sure I nearly drowned in the wave of need that swept through me. All I could do was hang on to his tie like my life depended on it. He kissed me again, more deeply, my lips parting with a pleased sound to let his tongue sweep over mine. His deft fingers trailed up my side. They teased over the side of my breast, edging closer until my nipple was aching for contact. His thumb flicked over the peak, and I whimpered into his mouth. Heat pooled between my thighs. I slid my hand down over the taut muscles of Hatter's broad shoulders and his contrastingly lean chest. I was just a moment or two from discovering whether he wore boxers or briefs when a joyful shout pealed down the hall. New day, here I come! New dresses! New shoes! Lands, I can change the furniture in my fucking room now! Hatter and I jerked apart at the sound of his daughter's voice. Her bounding footsteps thumped down the hall past the door I'd thankfully nudged shut behind me when I'd come in. My lips twitched in amusement at her solo celebration. Doria had joined in on the mission last night, but only on the sidelines and at the beginning. Hatter had woken her when we'd gotten back to the house, so she'd know we'd returned safely and victorious. She sounded even happier now that the news had sunk in. Pops! She called from downstairs. There's no breakfast. We need something special for today. Hatter rolled his eyes at the nickname and gave me one last quick kiss that tasted like an apology to both of us. I got up as he scooted off the bed and was a tad disappointed to discover he'd slept with his pants on. He leaned out into the hall. Give me 5 minutes. Fine, but I'm only cutting you slack because you were out saving the world yesterday. Teenagers.